And a very good evening to you. Watching the news from the Cyprus Broadcast Corporation in Nicosia, I'm Nathan Morley with tonight's top stories. Turkey is ramping up its war of words against Cyprus in connection with planned natural gas exploration. Ankara's Energy Minister Taner Yildiz said today that Turkish Navy ships will sail into the exploration area, which is some 200 kilometers south of Cyprus, should drilling plans go ahead. Noble Energy has scheduled to start an exploratory drilling on the 1st of October. A Turkish newspaper reported that 3 Turkish frigates are set to sail in the eastern Mediterranean between Cyprus and Israel on the pretext of protecting Turkish ships taking humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip. Our Istanbul correspondent today reported that Turkish officials had made it clear that the Navy ships will only take action in the case of an attack on the ships sailing out to Gaza. Turkish Cypriot newspapers reported that an advisor to the Turkish Cypriot leader Davis Eroglu paid a one-day visit to Ankara for talks on the issue of exploration. He said that if the Cypriot government refrained from gas exploration, then the Turkish side will not take what he called necessary measures. President Christofias and the Turkish Cypriot leader Davis Eroglu met today for 5 hours in the context of their intensified negotiations on trying to come to a solution of the Cyprus issue. A UN official said Mr. Christofias and Mr. Eroglu exchanged views on the chapter of aliens, asylum, immigration and nationality. Lisa Butenheim, the UN special representative in Cyprus, told reporters after the meeting that the discussion on the chapter will be continued at a new meeting on Wednesday afternoon. The meeting will be preceded by a meeting of the advisors to the two leaders, who will also continue discussion on the issue. President Christofias has sent back to Parliament a law included in an austerity package which was recently passed by the House of Representatives. The law, which had been introduced by the opposition and passed by a majority, provides for cutting value-added tax to only 5% on the purchase of first houses. In sending the law back, the President said that reducing value-added tax to 5% on large luxury houses was not a social measure. He also said that if the law came into force, it would mean a loss of €80 million a year. If Parliament passes the law for a second time, the President can either sign the law or refer it to the High Court. Turkey's Prime Minister Tayyip Erdogan began a tour of Arab countries today, starting with a one-day visit to Egypt, where he's set to meet the country's new military rulers. However, he's cancelled a much-publicised intended trip to the Gaza Strip. Erdogan's trip will be followed by visits to Libya and Tunisia, which have also thrown off long-time rulers, highlighting Turkey's bid to expand on its regional influence. Egypt has long viewed itself as a leading voice in the Arab world, but Turkey's influence has risen steadily with its growing economic might and its assertive policy in the region, notably towards Israel, which has drawn praise from many Arabs. Ankara expelled the Israeli ambassador in a feud over an Israeli raid last year that killed 9 Turks on board a flotilla bound for Gaza. Mr. Erdogan told Al Jazeera television that the incident was a cause for war, but said Turkey acted with what he termed as patience. A furnace exploded at a nuclear waste treatment site in southern France today, killing 1 person, but there was no leak of radioactive material. France's ASN nuclear safety watchdog said 4 other people were injured. The site does not house any nuclear reactors. The furnace that exploded is used to melt waste with levels of radioactivity ranging from low to very high. It did not immediately give a reason for the blast, but said it was completely contained within the furnace. The Vienna-based UN Atomic Energy Agency said it was seeking information from France about the explosion. Yukiya Animo, the director of the International Atomic Energy Agency, said that the agency's incident center had been immediately activated and it had sent requests for information. British Prime Minister David Cameron's embarked on a visit to Moscow today aimed at improving ties with Russia, but his efforts stumbled when the Russian president bluntly refused to extradite a man wanted for the murder of a Kremlin critic some 5 years ago in London. Mr. Cameron, on the first visit by a British Prime Minister since the former Russian spy Alexander Litvinenko died in London from poisoning in 2006, pitched thriving business ties as a way to improve relations. However, the Russian president said he would never extradite the Russian man whom British prosecutors want to put on trial for murder. He said Russia's constitution simply forbids this. Cameron's trip yielded only business deals already announced worth a total of £200 million. Mr. Cameron said the differences on the spy case remained, but he added this should not be allowed to influence trade. Some 32 people close to Libya's Muammar Gaddafi have fled to neighbouring Niger in the last 10 days, including one of his sons called Saadi. Al Arabiya television, which quoted Niger government sources, gave no further details on the identities of Libyans who sought refuge. The Nigerian government had earlier said that Saadi, more known for his soccer passion than his politics, was already en route to the dusty desert town of Agadez. Saadi's convoy was the third containing important members of Gaddafi's entourage to arrive in Niger in the past 7 days. Others included Gaddafi's security chief and at least 2 top generals, all of whom are now in the capital. Meanwhile, thousands of local people who had found work in Gaddafi's army have begun returning to Agadez after the defeat of his forces. Former International Monetary Fund chief Dominique Strauss-Kahn was today questioned by French police over accusations of attempted rape made against him by a novelist. Mr. Strauss-Kahn arrived at police headquarters in Paris early this morning, accompanied by his lawyer, who said that he was being questioned as a witness. Strauss-Kahn returned from the United States a week ago after a separate assault charge was formally dismissed by a New York judge. After their investigation, Paris prosecutors can designate a magistrate to conduct a criminal probe or dismiss the complaint. A conviction for attempted rape carries as much as 15 years in prison in France, where the statute of limitations for such crimes is 10 years. Highbrow trumped Hollywood at the Venice Film Festival this year, with the Russian director Alexander Sukharov's German-language Faust taking the top prize. Most prizes at Saturday's closing ceremony went to less than familiar names and faces, with the exception of the rising Irish star Michael Fassbender's Best Actor Award for Shame. Surprisingly overlooked was Roman Polanski's Carnage and George Clooney's political thriller The Ides of March. A Greek film called Dogtooth, poking fun at modern life, received the Best Scenario Award. And that was our news. Let's take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow, when we can expect generally fair weather, with some local cloud inland and over the mountains. Winds will start light southeasterly to southwesterly, force 3, turning moderate southwesterly to northwesterly, force 4 in the afternoon. Seas will be slight. Temperatures are expected to reach 37 degrees Celsius inland, 33 in the south and east, 31 in the north and west, and 27 over the mountains. And of course, a quick reminder that the fire hazard remains extremely high in all forest areas. And that's it. I'm back at 8 o'clock with news on CYBC Radio 291.1, and we're here at the same time tomorrow. Have a lovely evening. Good night.